The Bureau of Land Management says it is not planning to lock out Wyoming's public from the Rock Springs area. U.S. Representative Harriet Hageman is planning to propose term limits on federal employees. And Worland's J. Richard brought home the top prize for giant pumpkins from a Utah competition this weekend. Bringing you these stories and more from Wyoming's largest news organization, I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily. The Bureau of Land Management says it's not planning to lock out Wyoming's public from the Rock Springs area despite claims to the contrary. Governor Mark Gordon and other Wyoming elected officials have harshly criticized the BLM's draft Rock Springs Resource Management Plan since it was released last month. But agency officials told Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines that misinformation being spread about their draft Rock Springs RMP is working against them.
They feel that a lot of that criticism isn't justified. However, they do encourage people to submit comments, written comments that have a lot of good substance to it and have a why. Don't just tell us you don't like the plan or you don't like some aspect of the plan. Explain to us why.
The draft proposal, maps, and other information are available online, as is a guide for filing comments. A federal judge in Wyoming has confirmed an arbitration panel's order for the state's two tribes to pay $13.1 million to an energy company that formerly operated an oil field on tribal land. The Northern Arapaho and Eastern Shoshone tribes were ordered to pay Merit Energy Operations for equipment and infrastructure that Merit left behind when the tribes took over operations on Circle Ridge Field. That's according to Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland.
Merit and the tribes had to come to an agreement about what do we do with all this infrastructure and equipment that's kind of part of this operation. The Northern Arapaho tribe valued it down around $2 million, $3 million. Merit, there were appraisers that said it was worth closer to $23 million. Ultimately, the arbitration board valued the equipment at $13 million.
A spokesperson for the Northern Arapaho Business Council says they're reviewing the decision and considering their options. Well, U.S. Representative Harriet Hageman believes politicians are term limited by their elections, but rank-and-file federal employees are a different beast. Political reporter Leo Wolfson says Wyoming's lone representative is planning to propose legislation that would, in her view, limit the power of the bureaucracy.
She is creating legislation that would put term limits on federal employees. The limits wouldn't stop an employee for working for the government a certain amount of years by itself, but they would prevent the employee from working for certain specific agencies for more than a period of time.
Hageman said she and other lawmakers working on the bill haven't figured out how long the limits would be, but she believes it's constitutional as Congress has the power to hire and fire federal employees. I'll be back with more news right after this.
At Hilltop Bank, we understand that buying a home is a big decision. That's why we're here to be your trusted partner on the path to home ownership. Our experienced mortgage team will guide you every step of the way, from pre-approval to closing. We offer competitive rates and a wide variety of home loan options to best suit your needs. With our local knowledge and personalized service, you'll feel confident and comfortable throughout the entire home buying process. Contact us today to start your journey toward home ownership. Hilltop Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
A couple accused of shattering a toddler's leg and damaging his organs pleaded not guilty Monday to attempted murder charges. 20-year-old Hannah Wingert and her boyfriend and co-defendant, 21-year-old Joshua Moody, faced charges of first-degree attempted murder and aggravated child abuse. Moody and Wingert could spend life in prison if convicted of trying to kill Wingert's 2-year-old son by brutally beating him in a hotel room on August 23rd. And Worland's pumpkin prince J. Richard returned triumphant after a weekend in Logan, Utah, where his massive pumpkin named Marion won first prize at the Center Street Pumpkin Festival Saturday. Marion tipped the scales at 1,784 pounds, making it currently the second largest pumpkin ever grown in Wyoming. Richard told Cowboy State Daily his new growing method made all the difference.
Well, this year I grew my pumpkins in a custom-built greenhouse specifically for pumpkins, and that made all the difference, being able to manage the temperature and the humidity. I added about 600 pounds to my best ever, so it made a really big difference, and a long way to go still.
Marion's useful life is far from over, though. Richard said the giant gourd will be ceremoniously carved by a professional pumpkin carver in front of Blair's grocery store the week before Halloween. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the subscribe button on CowboyStateDaily.com. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily.